If you're an NRI or expat here in the UK and you've heard people saying India will give you 15% return in the next 20 years, so why bother with anything else? This video is for you. Today I'm addressing that exact comment head on. I'll show you the real numbers behind India's return versus the global investing in pounds. Why that 15% headlines is misleading for people like us, and the two silent killer, currency risk and volatility, that quietly costing NRIs thousands every single year. Hi, I'm Will. I've been living in the UK as an NRI for the last 15 years. Worked for some of the major corporations like Reuters, Thomson Financial, dealing with Thomson Analytics and DataStream, which spoke purely about stocks and performances. And I've put most of my money, like all of you, completely in India, expecting that strong return, until I ran the numbers in pounds and I realized what I was actually losing. Let's start with this comment that I received on my previous video. You see such comments and also recommendations from your friends. India will give you 15% return, bro. Why don't you just invest there? But here's the part. On paper, it sounds amazing. The Sensex has been delivering roughly between 12 to 13% in rupee over the last 10 years. And in the last few years, it has even given you 20% return. So why am I saying stop putting everything there? Because you don't live in rupees anymore. You earn and spend your money in pounds and dollars. Now let me show you what that 15% actually becomes once the rupee does its usual dance. The hidden 3 to 4% taxes that no one is actually talking about. India's rupee has been depreciating on an average close to 3 to 4% every single year. And you personally would have noticed it when you transferred your money, such as pounds and dollars, to India. And this average depreciation against pounds and dollars, these are not my opinion. That's the actual exchange history. So if India gives you, let's say, 12%, after the currency loss, you're left with 8 to 9%, sometimes even less. Plus, there is inflation and taxes as well. So that's something that we can discuss in another topic. Meanwhile, a simple global ETF, such as the Vanguard FTSE All World, this alone puts your money across thousands of companies around the world, and it has consistently returned close to 9 to 10% year on year. And these returns are not in rupees, these are in pounds over the same period. This is far less drama for you to manage, and at the same time, you're getting a far better return when you compare and you factor in the currency loss. It's like your friend bragging about winning a race in India, while you're quietly investing the same thing here in London. But what he's carrying is a heavy rupee backpack that keeps getting heavier and heavier. And here's the nightmare that actually keeps most of the NRIs awake: volatility. You might have actually noticed India's stock market is roughly 50% more volatile than the global market. It's applicable to when it's making good returns, and at the same time when the market crashes, it's absolute painful. Sensex and Nifty swings have been around 18 to 20% on a standard deviation, while the global indices sit closest to somewhere close to 12 to 14%. What does this mean? When the market fluctuates this violently, you're getting a good return in India, but at the same time, when it is negative, it's absolutely stomach churning. For an NRI like you and me, who might need to send money home or buy a house here in the UK, these swings can be absolutely painful. All it takes is just one bad year in India, and this can absolutely wipe out 2 years worth of gains. And you might have actually experienced this quite recently, the way the markets are performing. My investment here in the UK has not swung the way what is happening back home. This global diversification smooths out all of those painful downs that you might experience during a turmoil. And here's the smarter approach that every NRI should consider and follow, regardless of where you live, whether it is UK, America, Australia, anywhere. If you're in your 30s, 40s or 50s, considering approaching your investment in this fashion. Keep 50 to 60% in UK stocks and shares ISA invested into global ETFs such as the Vanguard FTSE All World. This alone gives you complete tax-free returns, and you don't pay a penny to the government forever. The next 20 to 30% invested in India. But make sure you do this investment through your NRI account and don't go buying individual stocks. Instead, invest it into mutual funds. Pick large cap mutual funds or pick the mid cap indices. That way, the swings and the volatility can be much palatable for you. The remaining 10 to 20%, you can keep it in cash and also put it away as pension if you're eligible to get one. The 10% that you're putting it aside, this should be your emergency fund, and you want to put this money into a high yield savings account. That way, that is also growing, and if it is better than the inflation in the country that you live, like in the UK, the inflation is hovering close to 3%, but my savings is returning to me somewhere close to about 4.2%. So that way I'm beating my inflation and my emergency fund is keeping up with the inflation too. And this way you capture the India's upside without betting your entire life savings into one single market. A friend of mine back in 2020, when the COVID was taking place, he moved nearly 40% of his investment from India to the UK. Initially, he felt the shock because the market was steadily performing back home, but he stuck to his vision and stuck to his idea of investing in a global ETF and putting it in a tax wrapper account, such as the ISA account. And over this steady 6-year period, his returns has increased when he compared that with his friends back home. And this is despite India's strong nominal returns. And here's the thing most people tend to forget. If you ever decide to return to India permanently, money sitting in the UK ISA and global ETF is far more easier to bring back or live off without the extra tax headache. A complete India investment locks all your strong currency in a weaker currency like rupee, and it also creates repatriation stress at the time when you absolutely need it. The bottom line is simple. Yes, India might be giving you strong returns on paper, but for people like you and me who live abroad in the UK, US, anywhere else, earning and spending most of our money in our foreign currency, this combination of currency risk and volatility means you're not actually getting that return that has been promised to you. And as an NRI, a balanced global approach inside a UK ISA has quietly beaten pure India investment for most of the expats that I know. So the key takeaway is simple. Don't put all of your eggs in one basket just because it feels it's home. Diversify your investment smartly and let that compounding do the heavy lifting for you. And if this video helped you, consider subscribing. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.